Hey, welcome to another week of the game news and what has happened in the last week. This is for the week of gaming for 7 February 2017. And we last left our heroes, the Blood Brothers, in Cleftlan. That's Cleftlan without a D, on Time Island. They are about to be joined by another Blood Brother, and he is coming from Earth 202, February 7th, 2017, at around noon he's coming from Seoul, Korea. We got clear over here. And what is he? He's an artist and he's in school. His name is Hyung Woo Yu. And it's not spelled like it sounds, but and Yu is actually his last name, but it's kind of what he's been going by. Anyways, Yu is in school. He's an artist, like a graphic artist sort of thing, and he's got a drawing pad. And he is at lunch in school, and like the others, at noon, and then the clock face comes up, and there's this 12 and 6, 3 and 9 and all of them in Roman letters. Why for Korean, I don't know, but that's the way it is appearing. And Yu has no idea. He's never even seen. I mean, maybe he's seen a clock on the internet that has those Roman letters, but he's from Korea. Anyways, as he eats his food, he's just like, this is weird. Maybe something's going on, but no big reactions from this guy. And as he goes to the bathroom, he looks at he looks at it up and sees that in the mirror after he's washes his hands and looks up in the mirror, he sees Alex. Alex, what is this Caucasian dude looking at me for? And the next thing they knows, the download happens to him because Alex is playing this guy. And why? Because he's one of my other players, and why not try to play Ryu? I mean, you like this? We're not sure, but this is how I've been playing it. So Alex downloads into you and says, "Oh man, I'm in Korea, and I see the clock face. All I know is I need to get outside." Of which he goes to the nearest exit, a more private area, and chooses to exit via one of the numbers. Because the clock face then goes down to the ground. The numbers 12 to the north. He chooses a number because this is Alex downloading in, and download says you're coming from right now when we're talking. We were actually gaming at Chick-fil-A, and he just goes straight into Yu's mind and knows what he's got to do. Chooses the number, I think it was 3 or 4, and then he's teleported to a forest. But on the way there, Wanda Magic, again, puts a blood stone into his hand, this magical stone, which will keep him connected to the other blood brothers. And it happens so fast, and he's just kind of like, "Hey, Wanda, I see you," trying to act like nothing's a big deal. That's Alex. And they're going there. Hopefully, maybe I'll show a picture of what Yu looks like. And then I'm trying to put pictures in this video. We'll see if it happens. Okay. Then as he's arrived in the forest around Cleftlan, he is pulled to the other blood brothers. Which, weirdly enough, the special thing about the Blood Brothers is that this stone binds these characters. Currently 4. And which means if Chris or Ray are not gaming their characters, the other characters bound by the stone to play around each other will be there. and that gives me it gives them this team thing that characters can do together and interacting together. Otherwise, in Cleftlan, each player character is doing things not around each other, and when we're gaming, we're not doing much interaction together, and it's very time consuming, and it could go all night with one person doing his thing or her thing, and not a lot of gaming together. So I created Blood Brothers. It was really Chris's idea, my son, but so that happens, and before he is pulled by the stone to the other Blood Brothers, the other two that aren't around, Brandon and Sam, teleport kinda into the only remaining guy left, Hans, into his bloodstone, and they're gone, and Hans's bloodstone glows kind of red. What? Oh, they're gone, and he also bloodstone's glowing red as you appears there, and Hans is still at Reagan's place in Old Cleftland, because he's waiting for Reagan to come back with some suits for him. Quickly, you and Hans get into conversations. Hey, who are you and who are you? I'm Alex, but I'm in you and you. Take it the Korean you, which is actually R-Y-U, but I looked it up online and it's pronounced you. And it's actually a last name, so we're calling him by his last name. So, or Hyung Woo would be his first name. Hyung Woo. Anyways, which is kind of cool that we have an Asian face played by a Caucasian guy, where Chris chose to be a Caucasian being played by an Asian. Anyways, they're all Americans, but he's not. He's actually Korean, and Hans is German. But they're both there, and they start having the conversation, trying to do some catch up of what's been going on, because Alex doesn't know everything that had happened here. And meanwhile, where we last left our other heroes in Cleftland, Alex wakes up. And Alex, a year ago when we were playing Cleftland, had saved this Chinese girl, May, from when her master, if you will, in the house was assassinated, and then the house all burned down. Alex saved her and hid out in the Elven quarter of town, trying to run from Asian or Oriental assassins. He thought, Elven area of town, Cleftland, they wouldn't come here. So he did, and they gave him safe berthing for the night. He just had to stay in the same room with May for the night, and which he did. And so he wakes up with May, and they get cleaned up. Alex and May leave this elven house. You could say it had a red light out front of it during the night. Yeah, elves do participate. Okay. Anyways, Alex and May leave the elven quarter of town, and he is looking for a job or something. He's got to be able to find some sort of support. They need food badly. And at the same time as that's going on, and you and Hans are in Old Cleftland talking, Joel and the 5 Reds that he was with leave the Holiday Inn and head to Ray's Rock House, which is right across from the Holiday Inn. And I created this place decades ago, and that's why it's the Holiday Inn. I chose that name for it. This is in the section of Cleftland called America. And America's got, instead of cobblestone streets, it's got blacktop. And has electricity, but the rest of the city, like even the Elven Quarter, which has cobblestone and even some dirt streets, it's the blacktop, and it's got real clocks with the real time on it, and with hands, or maybe digital now. Yeah, they're probably digital. Anyways, he goes into Ray's Rock House, which I created decades ago, again from a song that I heard, and he goes in there. There's some '80s music playing, and at the bar is Tommy. Tommy is the bartender right now. Normally the bartender is Stella, but he's doing the morning shift, and it's right around 9:30, maybe 10 in the morning. He's got a mullet, black hair, kind of curly on the top, but long and straight in the back. He wears a cut-off shirt with an '80s band on it, and they go in and the five reds, which he's like, whoa, red-haired girls wearing scantily next to nothing. Joel knows he needs to eat because Warrior needs food badly, and he's got some gold as they sit there and count in a booth. Gina, the waitress, comes up and he orders food, and he's kind of, I can order anything here because this is Ray's Rock House, and you can order anything. You don't have to pay for your first meal, but everything after that gets paid for. Same set price. And that's what he does. So we are then, as we're gaming, we're then joined by Chris, which sends us off to another world to game. And we go to Black World. Still day one, and we play Chris's team, Stars. Stars team is made up of Kamala Khan, Clarice Ferguson, Mary Marvel, Wally West, Sam Alexander, Peter Parker, and Gwen Stacy, along with Chris Ritz. And maybe I'll be able to do a picture here. I'm trying to do that so I can know where to split the film. And do a picture and post it in there. Next, they're still in Disney, and a Fantasia sequence of where the team can get to know each other. They've rode the Space Mountain several times, just trying different things. And they walk through the park, getting food and stuff, mostly carrying on conversations with each other. I'm getting the players to get to know each other, and because when they go back to Earth, they're going to need to know each other. They won't usually get to know each other very well. Yet years of gaming will go by, and it's very odd that these characters have only been around each other for a few days, yet we know them like, wow, they've guys have known each other forever. So that's why this is happening, for gaming purposes. And they all decide to go to Epcot and get some food, and one of them to take the monorail. They race to the monorail, and it's funny because Clarice can teleport blink. They're faster, kinda, than Kid Flash, who kind of really shows up at the same time. But and others fly, and really the only one that can't fly or have some ability to get himself there faster. Well, Kamala Khan, she could grow, get really tall, and walk over to get to the monorail. Gwen Stacy, as well as Peter, can use their webs. And Sam, though, has got to you guys are all taking off flying. He doesn't have his helmet on. So he has to unpack his helmet, put it on. Let's go fly. Because he's not wearing his helmet while he's over hanging out in Disney. So they go to the monorail, and then we get done because Frank shows up, and we go to another world. We play the realm of Cleftlan. We're already at 14 minutes. So let's keep going. And where we last left our heroes in Cleftlan with a D, they were about a mile southeast of Cleftlan's walls in the tower called Shadow Spear. It's a dark tower, not to take Stephen King's book, but it's black, and it's really dark, and even in this close to noon sky. And Daniel Ritz, one of the grandchildren of the king, Seth Corso, one of the sons of the Duke, and Anders Prentice, brother to the Marquis, have joined up on. Well, they got together on the Duke's ship Juno, and they have entered Shadowspear. Now, I've told you last week a little bit about their adventures, not to go over to. Well, they get a couple floors starting from the top of this tower, working their way down. They encounter a shadow mage, Darkon, who's headmaster of this shadow mage school. And Darkon the Fifth, they get in a little fight with them. Seth and Daniel are able to stop his magic blast of darkness from hitting him, but Anders gets hit, and it hurts. This thing knocks him down, and the blast, and it's also staying blackness on him, as black as my shirt, and he's hurt on the ground. Well, Seth and Daniel kind of go into conversation with Darkon. It's mostly Seth, because his dad was in charge of the original, not his dad, but his dad, the previous Duke. So his dad kind of played his dad doing it. Anyways, the previous Duke was in charge of the previous Darkon the First. This is back history stuff. If you want more history, leave comments below. Maybe I'll provide some at the end of some of these videos. I'm just trying to get this knocked out because Walking Dead's coming on soon. And we miss you. So, Darkon basically gives Seth the idea that we're not wanting to do anything for you, Mr. Corso. And we're kind of against the royals. The royals have been gone for 60 years, so why is he against them? And maybe he thinks he's against something else. But this is what he says nonetheless. And they proceed with like, hey, we're going to get out of here. This guy's got spells, and he disappears into the darkness. They go rejoin on Juno. But Anders is still hurt by this darkness, that his dark spell that's hit his chest. And it hurts. And they said, well, let's go heal him. And because Anders is like a living time spot, they take him to another time spot. He's also a time lord, traveler, if you will. And they take him maybe less than a mile, half mile away is the Green Circle. The Green Circle is another time spot that I created decades ago. Stone circles surrounding a green grassy lawn, and there are trees all around. It's this huge forest. So they have to fly actually Juno over the forest because the trees are 30 feet high or 40, and they lower. Oh, he can teleport to the Green Circle, and when he does, his eyes glow blue, and he's healed from all damage. And then he is healed from the pain, but yet the blackness stays there. And what is up with this? And why does the spell not go away? Is it time? They don't know. Darkon knows. I know. And it might be timed, and it might be some sort of device he could track these guys around when he uses that blast on people. Escalorus, Blanus, Balloonis, and he blasts. Anyways. So he's like, hey, the darkness didn't go away. So they pull him up. But meanwhile, they don't know that's going on up in Hastings. Yes, quick interlude. We go up to Hastings, and there is, and he's James Lord, one of the two James Lords that are up there. This is James Lord, son of the Asgardian Lord. He's called Tempest, married to Marie Devereaux. And he's the son of them. Anyways, he has powers that we'll try to talk about as we go. And He's got this trifecta power where he knows everybody's powers, and he has to pull pieces of each of these powers. Like, oh, I see somebody's power, I want that power, but the power level of that power is going to be based off of another person's power level, and then another person's range to that power level. So he tries to duplicate flight. And so he goes to like Ms. Martian's flight. He uses that flight and some of the other power ranges, the power range and the speed, or the power level of other people, and uses that to fly to Skullcap. Skullcap's the closest time spot to Hastings, and because all the lords live in Hastings at the castle, or most of them live at the castle. As a matter of fact, that's where he lives with his father and them. He flies to Skullcap, and after leaving his sister Mara and her boyfriend Matt. Shoot. All right. Well, anyways, we'll fill that in later. Matt. Oh no. So James Lord, son of Tempest, gets to Skullcap, and Skullcap it looks like a skull. The whole thing is a time spot, but it's in the cliff face, and it looks over the Bay of Hastings, and it's like a fjord. Hastings is kind of more of a Vikingish town, if you will. It looks over the castle of Hastings is not that far, but it's across the bay. Anyways, it's got the eyes and the teeth sort of look of a skull. Anyways, he goes to the top of it, on top, which it's because it's into this face. There's cliffs that go right up to the side of the head, and he's on top, and his eyes glow blue. No, they don't actually, because he's not a Time Lord. What happens is he changes and then uses time spot powers of his uncle Carter and Prince Carter. It's time spot to travel from time spot to time spot, because that's actually a power, not a Time Lord thing too. So he uses that time spot power to go to the green circle, which brings us back to our other guys that are hanging out there at the green circle, and he looks up and sees that there's this Anders guy, an elf, because Anders is half elf, or full elf, I should say. I'm winging this, so I'm getting this out the best I can. So he sees this, and guy being pulled up by a cable through the trees, and he uses this flight, catches up with them, and he actually knows Daniel Ritz and Seth Corso from Red Planet. He doesn't know this Anders guy, but he looks an awful lot like his uncle Xander Prentice, which they are. They're brothers, all three of Alex, Xander, and Anders Prentice. They all look very much alike. And so then they all join up on Juno and her vehicle stowage. Seth, who's been driving Juno around, he's actually manually piloting her on the bridge instead of saying, hey, just take us to here and there. He's actually, using that, which is really cool, because he would have learned that over 20 years on Red World. So Red Planet, Red World. In their discussions, they decide that this blackness that is on Anders might be able to be defeated by Lania. Lania is the wife of Owen, Lord Owen and Lady Lania of Topazia. Topazia is a city in the Sapphire Islands, and Owen is really Molecule Man, and Lania is Darkstar from Marvel, and they have kids, and they think, hey, let's go to Uncle Owen and Aunt Lania, and maybe she can get this thing off of him. So they do. They contact via the ship Uncle Owen and say, "Hey, we're flying in, and can Lania help us?" And she's like, "Yeah, on one condition, because they're about to have lunch, that they have lunch with us." Because so often characters just show up and say, "Hey, help me," and have no interaction with you. Okay, next. And now they're having a little bit of interaction with their family. Owen and Lania's daughter, Mika, is also there. Mikola is her really name, but they call her Mika. And she's like 16 too. Like, I think James is older. Seth is 8. But yeah, most of them are pretty young. Except for, Anders is way older. But Elf. Years. Anyways. So they fly down to Topazia, manually fly down there, and they get there, park the ship, get off the ship, and join them for a meal. While they're eating, or after they get done eating, Lania goes and before they eat, she goes, she has to actually create like a darkness area and be surrounded by all this dark force to deal with this magical darkness, which is a little bit different for her. But because she's 40 something, and she's been dealing with darkness and has gotten very powerful with it, and she actually defeats this magic or destroys the spell or whatever it happens, he's free from it. And she saves him, and then they go and they eat, and I actually game them having some conversation so they get to know Mika a little bit. Seth is trying to talk Mika into leaving her parents, running away with them. She's like, "No, because my other son, who was Adrian in the previous adventures when they were down in Aslan, a couple months ago when we gamed that, yeah, when they were in Aslan, he's still there with his now wife and grandkids. And kids. So she's like, "No, you're not leaving," until he comes back with her Russian accent. She's still really good at English, but she keeps some of that Russian accent to keep something familiar to herself. And these guys are actually eating a lot of Russian-style foods based off of the diet of foods a lot of fish and stuff that they have here in Topazia. Because it's a island city. So, after a good meal, the guys leave. They get back on board Juno and realize, hey, let's do some more adventuring together. Cool, guys, let's do that. Oh, no, before they leave. Gosh, I keep jumping ahead. They want to find out all of the time spots that are in the lands. And they ask Lord Owen, "Can we talk to your knowing?" And he calls his knowing. Knowing is a black guy named Ember, something like that. Like Ember Boo at the end, I think. Emba, I think it was. Yes, Emba. So Emba, reports to the castle. They ask the knowing questions. And a knowing in this time, wow, I'm at 28 minutes. I'm really explaining stuff because not a lot gamed, but getting detailed. A knowing is a group of peoples that have been taught by each of the realms. They're from each of the realms. They go to the forest of no trees. Yeah, it's a hint to old D&D cartoons. The forest of no trees. There they learn how to pull these scrolls that have information on it. And if some people remember some scrolls that provided them knowledge, Laura, Nightmare. Anyways, they can pull these scrolls magically, and it gives the answers. But they are actually the question is going to the knowing, who's on a different version of a time island or a different version of Cleftlan, related to 204. And the knowing is actually being played by Joel, so they actually ask Joel these questions. Joel decides what's going to be on the answer, and he gives them the answer to a lot of these time spots. And they let him know that, hey, there's the shoal water and the mounds, primarily the upcoming ones. The shoal water is the closest time spot to Mifflin, as we've talked about in an early episode. But they want to go to the mounds because it's like far from everybody's towns. But there's still so much adventuring, I think, in all of these towns and areas that going out to the farthest one away, sure, okay, you're going to do that. So they do. And so they, like I said before, they board Juno, get on board the lightning ship, take the lightning ship to the shoals. After they get onto the time spot, which Anders' eyes glow blue and he is healed from all damage, James, Seth, Daniel, and Anders then use it, the time spot. Actually, they all touch him, and they go from the shoal water to the mounds now, and they arrive at the mounds. Now the mounds are giant, like earthen mounds, kind of like maybe the Native Americans have. The serpent mounds up in Ohio, or some of the mounds in Mississippi or whatever. Well, and they're all over the place. But from the top of the highest one, which is the one they appear, they see a lake in the distance, and around that lake is villages of hut dwellers, and they're the barbarians, kind of similar to maybe Sumerians of Conan the Barbarian sort of thing. They noticed they could see people up in the mounds, which is not, it's only within a mile or so away, and they sent some of their warriors to engage. Well, when they arrive, and James is like going invisible and trying to hide, they shoot Anders in the chest, and that's where we leave the game. And I'm going to have to leave this episode right here. We're at 30 some minutes. And if you like this and want to know some more stuff, comment below. If you really like it, subscribe. And above there, I think, red button. And I'll see you guys next week, or 2 weeks, because this week Valentine's Day is on Tuesday and we won't be playing. So see you in 2 weeks.